let's try a color coding method to learn how to mark our text. Remember, when you're reading, you should be writing as well. Reading and writing go together. In a previous video, I showed how to use annotations. And the annotations, of course, are the markings that you're making inside of your margins. It's the notes you're making, the questions you're writing, the conclusions, the inferences that you're drawing. But let's take a piece of fictional text, okay? Fictional text, we're telling some sort of story. Anything that tells us about the character, something that's moving, telling us about the character, is describing the character, a character is introduced, let's go ahead and mark that red for character, okay? Anything that tells us about the plot is going to move the story forward. Anything that gives us that kind of information, we're going to make that green. Green means go, right? But now look at this here. This is a plot structure diagram. So of course we know about the exposition, the rise in action, climax, fall in action, the resolution, or the conclusion. But if you notice, it looks like the markings on a heart monitor because that is the beat of the story. So when you're creating fictional text, you want to have many different stages of each one of the 5 parts of the plot diagram over and over again. You don't just want one climax. You want several different climaxes, okay? All right. Now, let's talk about conflict. Anything that deals with conflict, you may mark it orange. Some people mark it yellow because you highlight conflict. But let's talk about why conflict is so important. Conflict is so important because, of course, there are 2 types of conflict, right? We have internal conflict, which is man versus self, right? But then we also have external conflict, which could be man versus nature, man versus society, or man versus man. So when you're reading a text and you come across some sort of conflict, not only do you want to highlight it, but in your margins, you want to explain why there's conflict or the importance of this conflict. Now, a level 1 move would be to just label the conflict. I've noticed conflict, I've identified it, this is man versus man. But as you grow in your annotations, you no longer will need to write man versus man. You can write the character's name. For example, let's say you have a character named Bigger. Let's say you're reading Native Son. Bigger is struggling to want to do right, even though it is easier for him to steal the money. That's an inference you can make, that's an observation you can make, and that shows that you're really engaging with the text. When you come in and you say, Bigger is faced with an internal conflict. He sees the money, he has a desire to steal it, but his morals won't let him steal it. Bigger is faced with internal conflict. So you want to start using the words that you've learned over the years in your writings. So anything that tells us about setting, of course, that's going to be time or place. You can make that blue. Anything that tells us a flashback, let's go ahead and make that, I don't know, like pink, okay? But now let's talk about a flashback. A flashback is not just anything that has happened in the past. A flashback is when a scene has been recreated with great detail to draw a picture of something that has happened in the past. So you're not just looking for verbs written in past tense. He ate pizza. No. But if it says, while Khalil was eating his pizza, he thought back to his favorite time at his favorite Italian pizzeria. And then the story starts to replay one of his visits to the Italian pizzeria. That would be a flashback. That would be something that's worth taking note of. And then foreshadow is anything that gives us a hint about what's going to happen in the future. So you would mark it with your foreshadow color, and then what you want to do is in your margin, write your prediction, okay? So if you see, you're reading a text and you read a portion where Bigger has now stolen some money and he does not throw away the purse, okay? In your mind, that might be a foreshadow because he's going to be caught because he's a man and he has the purse of the woman that he just killed. And it's going to be easy to tie him to that murder because he has her purse, which has her ID in it. That's foreshadow, because you drew that conclusion on your own, right? Based upon what you think is going to happen in the future. So that's the type of engagement you want to do. Now let's talk about these colors. These colors aren't set in stone. You just need 6 different colors. And you need 6 different colors that you can remember so that you can be consistent throughout the text that you're working on. I chose these colors and I stick with them so that I don't have to get confused when I'm looking back over something that I've read before. Okay? So this is the color coding annotating. And it doesn't have to just be for fictional text. In another video, I'll show you how to use it for nonfiction pieces. But today, let's just start with a piece of fictional text. Okay? See you on the next video.